So here's a couple of my battles. My first one is up against a Sun team. You can see that we've got Ogerpon, Hearthflame, Whimsicott, Walking Wake, Torkoal, Farigiraf, Fluttermane. This is a pretty, at least the Walking Wake, Torkoal, Farigiraf, Flutter is a pretty common core for a Sun team. And then Ogerpon, Hearthflame isn't uncommon to see on that. The Whimsicott is a little rare, but it gets access to Prankster Sunny Day, so it doesn't surprise me. And they do end up just leading Ogerpon and Whimsicott. I led my Whimsicott Chiyu. Again, we've seen that against these Fluttermane teams, I feel like my team preview baits in Fluttermanes, so I have this lead that goes well against counter Tailwind Fluttermane teams. So here I go for a Tailwind Overheat into the Ogerpon. One being, if they match Tailwinds, they can outspeed me, and if they Terrastallize their Ogerpon, the Ivy Cudgel Terrifier with the attack boost won't knock out my Chiyu. I specifically made my spread to live that move. So if they go for Sunny Day, trying to knock me out, my Tailwind will go off first, and my Overheat will knock out the Ogerpon. So either we match speed control, they don't knock me out, I don't knock them out. So it gives us a neutral turn 2 is what I was going for. But if they try to KO me by going for the Sunny Day, then I will just knock them out with Choice Specs Overheat. So as you can see, my Tailwind goes first, which is interesting because I'm not max speed Whimsicott, so that means that their Whimsicott is slower than mine, or we're speed tying. But however, we get the Tailwind, we get the big Overheat, we knock them out because they set up the Sun for us. How nice of them. However, this does give them the opportunity to stagger Tailwinds. Also, their Whimsicott has access to Encore, I believe, and mine doesn't. So if I go for an attacking move, they could Encore me into Tailwind, for example, which is why... So they send out Walking Wake. We see that they're special attack boosting, so there's still a chance that my Chiyu outspeeds them, but not likely. I go for the light screen because I'm worried about the Encore play that I just went for, and at this point Chiyu's done what it needs to do. I'm fine sacrificing it. We've burned our opponent's Terrastalization, and we're forcing them to attack this slot. Instead of them getting cheeky and calling what we decide to try to switch to, if we try to preserve Chiyu for any reason. And because, you know, I'm anticipating at this point that Fluttermane is in the back, so I think the light screen will do me more, more good overall. And again, if they do try to match Tailwinds, this also burns, but they did go for that Encore play, which we were talking about. So if I was trying to Moonblast their Walking Wake here, for example, that would have been tricky. But because they weren't able to set up their Tailwind by going for that Encore play, we've now denied their Tailwind with the Overheat from Chiyu, and they went for the Hydro Steam into my Whimsicott, expecting me to make a defensive play and not sacrifice my Chiyu. So on turn 2, we've knocked out 2 of their Pokemon. We have speed control and they don't. And we have Terrastalization and they don't. So overall, things are looking really good for us. I am locked into light screen here, so I'm trying to decide if it's worth it to try and preserve my Whimsicott, to potentially set up another Tailwind, but I'm not super worried because I do have Iron Bundle. Many roads lead to Rome. I can win this game in a lot of different ways. I can use my Iron Bundle to freeze dry their Walking Wake, but because they're choice specs on the Fluttermane, I decided that my best win condition is to preserve my Raging Bolt, get a little chip damage on the Fluttermane so that it's in range of a Terra Electric Thunderclap, and that way our Assault Vested Raging Bolt with a Terra Electric won't go down to anything the Walking Wake can dish at us. So They do knock out both of our Pokemon here, but again, we've sealed the deal. By preserving our Whimsicott, we have super effective damage with Moonblast into that Walking Wake. We have our Thunderclaps with our Raging Bolt. We have Terrestrialization, so we can remove our Dragon weakness. So, again, I just took the path that I found to be the most optimal to win. If you think I made a mistake, there were plenty of other ways to win. Don't worry. So yes, we go for the Moonblast and the Terra Electric Thunderclap. Again, the Fluttermane is choice spexed into Dazzling Gleam, so they have to attack. So the Thunderclap is free to go for. They cannot deny the damage it's going to output. And then if they, somehow knock out my Raging Bolt, then my Whimsicott outspeeds them with another super effective Moonblast if the first one somehow doesn't KO. So we've locked up game 1. Time to start thinking about what we can do in game 2. And does the Moonblast get the KO? It does. So that shows us, again, we got a critical hit. So that doesn't really show us anything about the Walking Wake spread. But they are Life Orb, they are Special Attack Booster. Walking Wakes are generally just going to go fast and offensive.